Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I am but one of your hosts. And joining me, as always, is my go-to podcast compadre, Mr. Joe Lever, who is also he's imitating Mr. Burns from The Simpsons right now. Joe, how are you doing, man?
Excellent, Jimmy. Excellent.
I love that show. Joe, we talked about this past. You're not the biggest Simpsons fan because they're.
I was for the longest time, and as I grew older, I started to get creeped out for some reason.
What was creepy? Was it the four fingers?
Yeah, the four fingers and the whole yellow thing. It started to weird me out a little.
I just try not to think about it. I try not to think about it.
Somewhere along the lines, I lost my Simpsons fanboy gene. I don't know where I was going with that.
I was like, I'm going to let it
kind of faded.
That's okay, man. It
just faded.
That show's been on for so long, and I think a lot of people, maybe who are still fans of the show can realize that maybe it's not as good, as it used to be. Some of those seasons are pretty legendary, and it kind of helped pave the way for a lot of those, like the things like Family Guy, American Dad, Archer, and like Rick and Morty, even like that stuff today. So I appreciate it for that kind of thing.
All shows that you don't even like.
Rick and Morty, I love. I don't like Archer. I don't like Family Guy. I don't like American.
Really?
Yeah, Rick and Morty's very good. Yeah. Rick and Morty it's like a darker, funnier version of Futurama, and it's very intelligent, even though it doesn't always seem that way. It's very good, Joe. I think you'd like it. It's pretty dark. Some of the humor is pretty, like some of the episodes, it gets kind of like mind-bendy, and it's like, okay, all right. But you should give it a shot, Joe, I think. And everybody else out there, Rick and Morty, check it out. Season 3 coming end of July here. I promise they didn't pay me to say this. I really like the show. But anyway, Joe, we don't just sit here and talk about these types of cartoons. We talk about movies, we talk about video games, we talk about TV shows, we talk about a bunch of things. Before we get to any of the big, like, kind of main topics today, which maybe you could guess what those might be, it's by looking at me. Uh-oh. Joe, you got something? You good? Good over there? Joe's playing music. He's like getting everybody ready for what's coming up here. He's jiving out. There's a little bit of news I want to talk about. First off, we got our first look at the Wasp from Ant-Man and the Wasp coming up here. Evangeline Lilly finally getting to suit up, because if you saw Ant-Man, spoiler alert, she doesn't get the suit until like it's like an after credits thing, and they're like or they allude to it or mid credits or something like that. But she doesn't get to suit up. But she's a capable fighter. She kind of trains Paul Rudd's character, Scott Lang, how to like fight, kind of Black Widow style with the grapples and stuff like that.
No. Like, what's her name? Tariel?
Oh, Tariel, yeah. Tariel from The Hobbit. Yeah, the
elf style. You cannot be beat.
Yeah, dude, seriously. Especially Hobbit teaches you that if you're an elf, you are almost unstoppable. Like Orlando Bloom as Legolas in that one, he's doing stuff. You're like, and like, remember in Lord of the Rings when he would do stuff, you're like, okay, that's a little much. Like, when he threw himself up on the horse, or he kind of rides down the shield at Helm's Deep and shoots people. Like, but you can still get it.
But it's like, yeah, all right. I get that he's like super agile and just flowy, and really has the moves, right, and the balance and the precision. But yeah, the Hobbit, it's just like, I'm going to defy the laws of gravity times 10.
I love when he like jumps on that one bat thing, and then he like rides it over to that other like orc thing, and or the troll, and he kind of stabs it to make it run into this tower. It's like all this. I'm like, how are you doing all this? It's like, what? You're like an action hero. I'm like, you're like the biggest action hero ever. It's like, John McClane's got nothing on Legolas. Like, he's just like, yeah, I've done it all.
Marvel superheroes look weak.
Yeah, exactly. He's incredible. Like, the biggest thing he did in, I think, the original trilogy of like for Lord of the Rings was kill that Oliphant by himself, which was pretty cool. But he worked to get it. Like, he worked his way up it, and then he kind of earned that kill. It wasn't like he floated up to there and like triple shot it, and then it was like, I did it. But
still, only counts as one.
I know that's man, whoever wrote that line for Gimli, like, such a good, like, it's always still good. I remember seeing that, Joe, for like the 3rd time in theaters. They re-released it after it won a ton of Academy Awards. And I went to the theater with this friend of mine, and there's like 2 other people in the audience. I still laughed at that line. And then I kind of like looked around, and the other 3 people there were not laughing. And I was just like, haha. I was like, still good.
You're all dead inside.
Yeah, like, come on, guys. It's Lord of the Rings. Let's enjoy this beautiful film. Anyway, but Evangeline Lilly, Joe, looking at this costume, pretty similar to what we've seen Ant-Man have, but I just want to know from an artist's perspective, such as yourself, How do you feel about this when you're looking at it? You know, it's got the touches of yellow. I don't think it's too overly done, but I want to know what you think.
It's not overly done. Number one, I think it's it's not too over the top, not too flashy or anything crazy. It's a little subdued, I guess. I don't know. There's not much to go on when you see it in action. Maybe there's more to say, but the color hue of it all is real neat, and yeah, I don't know if there's much more to say. I guess.
I wonder if the wings on it will be organic or if they will actually make them like synthetic wings, because that's been something that like I think the original Wasp she could have wings like her mom is the original Wasp. So I'm not sure if those. I think in the flashbacks in Ant-Man they show that character. So I don't know if that's like she's
the wings are synthetic for sure.
Yeah, and I remember in the picture they show at the end of Ant-Man, they kind of show like the wings are up like on a wall and stuff. So they're probably some special like light carbon fiber or something like that. They might suggest something so they can't get like ripped apart, because that would.
They're just plexiglass. That's all.
Joe, do you think that if you were given the ability to shrink down like this as Ant-Man or Wasp, what would you do with this power? Because I feel like I would be terrified if you could just shrink down and just be gone, or also like turn yourself into a gigantic, horrible monster, more so than you already are.
Excellent. No, if I could shrink down, it'd be like the whole fly on the wall situation.
You'd be sneaking into places. You're sneaking into like motocross things and movies and stuff. You just be like, I'll just let myself in. Don't mind if I do. All right, everybody.
Yeah. Then I end up in the theater, just go back to normal size, sit there. Yeah.
And then when they come to like, sir, your ticket, you're like, oh god, and then you hit like a button, and you're just gone. It's like,
where'd he go? Next thing you know, I'm flipping them around on the ground.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that's always been a weird point. In that it's like you still retain your strength and everything when you're that size. So like if you were to still hit me when you were like that big, I don't get it. It obviously it's science fiction. It's not supposed to necessarily make sense, but it's cool when you see it.
An ant can lift 100 times its own body weight or something. Okay, that doesn't mean anything really.
I don't think Ant-Man has that. I don't think technically he has that ability. Typically, I don't think so.
Well, when you're that size, 100 times your own body weight is like a piece of paper.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not exactly sure, but you're right. Yeah. Well, plus, I'm interested to see how they implement more of like actually he can like control the ants too, and they have like different abilities depending on the specific type of ant that it was. And I'm not sure if they're gonna dabble
bullet ants, baby.
Joe's like, first thing I do is I shrink down. I get as many bullet ants as I possibly can. And then I do whatever I want, because I'm just a man with a bunch of bullet ants.
Do whatever I want.
One thing that kind of accompanied this news, though, Joe, and I want to talk about this a little bit, Jeremy Renner, who I thought for sure was like on his way out as Hawkeye for the Avengers and stuff like that. I thought, man, this guy is done. He's got nothing left. They did the Avengers Age of Ultron thing. He showed his family, and he's like, I can retire. I've got a family. Showed back up in Civil War, which I think is the perfect amount of Hawkeye. I just rewatched it the other night. I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. You don't need any more Hawkeye than you did in this one. But now, besides being in Infinity War, it sounds like he's going to be in this film as well. And this was instead of doing Mission Impossible 6, where he plays William Brandt. If you've ever seen, like, for anybody out there, like Ghost Protocol and then Rogue Nation, he's like a new character in both the 4th and 5th installment of that franchise. My question to you, Joe, is, are you excited for Hawkeye to come back, not just for Infinity War, but for Ant-Man and the Wasp? Do you like Hawkeye?
Yeah, I think more than anything, he's a good supporting character.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's it just brings a little something to spice it up a little more. It's not like this is going to be on the scale of Civil War, so having that little bit more, a little extra dash of pepper on your cottage cheese, if you know what I mean. I don't know. That was bad.
Yeah, disgusting. But yeah, I think that's a good point. I think really putting him in as that accent or garnish, as it were, is a lot better than saying, hey, let's give Hawkeye his own movie, because I just don't think he's that good as a standalone character. I think he's way better as part of an ensemble, kind of show up and do a few things, but realize that he's not necessarily a focal point or a very like a powerhouse in any way. He's just really good. It's like, oh yeah, Ant-Man can get on the arrow and you can shoot the arrow, and that's really fun.
Yeah,
like,
he's just not a powerhouse entertainer, if you know what I mean. I mean, he does some cool things, but when you have other characters that tap into like Iron Man, Captain America, even, or some of these more superhuman, superpowered people, he kind of is overshadowed by that, unfortunately. But like we're saying, good little dash of supporting is a supporting character in another movie like Ant-Man, which if I look at Ant-Man, I think I almost categorize him in the same way. For some reason, I don't know that I consider him, I know he's powerful, but I don't necessarily consider him one of the big heavy hitters that really grasp my attention,
Sure.
So having this, a little support from other Marvel characters, I think is a good thing and a good direction.
Yeah, I would be surprised to see going forward, besides maybe Black Panther, for Marvel to do any like pure standalone films anymore. I think we're going to get things like Captain America Civil War, like Thor Ragnarok, where you take one Avenger and make them a focal point, but then you also say, hey, guess what? You've got these other auxiliary characters here as well to kind of flesh it out. Because I think one of the biggest criticisms you get with these, especially with the MCU, these expanded universes, these connected universes, is why the heck don't the other Avengers show up during like Captain America Winter Soldier when there's like these 3 helicarriers that are like shooting everybody? It's like, where the heck's Iron Man? It's like, well, maybe that was the same week that he was in Tennessee. It's like, well, no, like that was Christmas. Like, what's he doing? Is he just like hanging out? He's like, I'm sorry, Cap, you got your own problems and I'm going to let you deal with it. It's like someone would show up. And I think that's why they're doing this more and more now, to alleviate that, because it's like, where the heck is everybody else? Like why isn't Thor here?
Well, and now there's a bit more of a relationship with Ant-Man after Civil War. These guys know him. They were put into prison because of the Accord deal together, that sort of thing. So,
yeah, that's a really good question,
it's
Joe.
Appropriate.
The one thing I'm thinking about, especially with Civil War, is Captain America, spoiler alerts here, but Ant-Man, Sam Wilson, who plays Falcon, we have Wanda, who's Wanda Maximoff, who plays Scarlet Witch, and then Hawkeye. They're all imprisoned at the end of Civil War, but then Cap goes to break them out. So I'm wondering if whatever Ant-Man and Wasp is supposed to be is something that is directly trying to lead up to Infinity War. Or actually, sorry, it should be maybe proceeding or succeeding Infinity War, because it comes out after that. So I'm not sure where this is going to take place. If this is going to be before Infinity War or after, because technically, chronologically, this one comes out July 6th, I think, of next year, which puts a lot of faith in Marvel for this franchise or this kind of group, because to be around July 4th is kind of a big deal. To think back, like Spider-Man Homecoming, like just came out then. So it's like, that's where you can make a lot of money. But I don't know, Joe, where would you put this movie? Do you think you would want to put it before Infinity War? Because like I'm guessing that's where it's going to be, because if you put it after, it's like, I just don't know. That's not kicking off Phase 4. I think Spider-Man Homecoming 2 is going to be that kickoff point. So maybe this is going to be something pre-Infinity War, like right after Civil War.
Well, how about this? Give me a little overview. So Thor Ragnarok comes out
in November.
Right?
Forever away. November can't come soon enough.
We just had Spider-Man Homecoming. We have Thor Ragnarok coming in November. What's after that?
Black Panther comes out in February, which I'm so excited about. And every time I think about it, I just get more and more happy. I'm like, I'm so happy this movie exists. I keep listening to that, like, Run the Jewels, like the instrumental version of that song. Oh, man, like, good beat. Real good beat.
Okay, so then Black Panther, then Infinity War. Is that spring?
Yeah, that's spring. I think that's May, and then July is Ant-Man. So that's it.
I think it's fine having it come after the fact. Although now we know who survives.
That's true. And I wonder if technically, Phase 4 won't happen until after Avengers 4. It gets kind of confusing for me. Whereas like Phase 4 is going to start, because we're in phase 3 right now. So I'm not sure. I just feel like this is going to be a movie that they put somewhere that doesn't try to like overshadow or forget about Infinity War. Sure. And maybe Ant-Man, maybe he might not have the biggest role in Infinity War. Maybe he won't even be in it. I don't know. So this could be all stuff that's... But we know Hawkeye's in it for sure, in both.
Could be just a gap filler to keep the palettes wetted until the next feature.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the first Ant-Man was more of like a heist film, and it sounds like this one is going to be a little bit more about the relationship between Ant-Man and the Wasp. The director here said this, and I thought it was actually pretty interesting. He said, "For me, as a comic nerd, I've always thought of Ant-Man and Wasp as a team. That's a lot of what the second movie is really about, how they work together and what their personal and professional relationships are like. To show her finally fully formed in this movie is really exciting. We really get to introduce this character into that universe. To me, she's not a supporting character in this movie. It's every bit as much her movie as it is Scott Lang's," which I thought was pretty interesting. That was an interview last year with Modern Myth Media. I think that's cool. I think that's really neat, and I'm interested to see her character play a bigger role, maybe not necessarily right away with the Infinity War stuff, but for this particular franchise. So I'm not sure if they're going to pull back from the heisty feel of that last one. I'm sure it'll be kind of quick-witted and funny like the last one, because it's the same director. They got him back, and some of the other cast members are going to be there, like Michael Douglas, which is excellent every time. But I wonder if they're going to just focus more on like them kind of dating and fighting side by side and maybe having like relationship issues or something like that. I don't know. Does that interest you at all, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's a good direction to take, and it gives maybe a bit more of a, I know we'll have the quick-witted humor and all that, and maybe a bit of lightheartedness, but I think that the relationship focus and all that will add a bit of weight to this scenario.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I hope so. And I really did enjoy the last one a lot. After rewatching it like 2 or 3 months ago, I compared it. A lot of people, for some reason, compared that to Doctor Strange. They're like, which one did you like better, Ant-Man or Doctor Strange? Because they seem to fall with a lot of people in like that kind of better than Thor the Dark World, but not as good as like maybe the first Iron Man, like kind of like maybe the 7.5, 8 range. And I don't know, I really like Ant-Man. I think there's a lot to like about it. And I did like Doctor Strange, but for some odd reason, I think Ant-Man himself, Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, is just way more likable than Benedict Cumberbatch. And Stephen Strange isn't supposed to be likable. He's like a jerk who has to learn to be a nice guy. Whereas Stephen Lang from the beginning is a good guy who just happens to be a criminal, like a cat burglar. Like he's not like evil, but he's not necessarily like, oh, I just follow the law. It's like he did what he wanted to do and what he needed to do. But I just really enjoy Ant-Man. Plus Michael Douglas, man. Freaking Michael Douglas. It's too good.
I like Michael Douglas a lot.
Yeah, plus that de-aging in the beginning of Ant-Man is still really good. Joe, I know you don't know what I'm talking about, but they show a scene in like the 1980s with a de-aged Michael Douglas, and it looks like you can maybe just a little bit tell, but they're getting so close to that point where you could take an old actor and that person could still portray like their 40-year-old self or maybe even younger. It's just that technology is so impressive. It's like, oh, that's so cool. It's like just man, I love it. All right, Joe, we're done talking about Marvel for now, but I want to switch gears into something that we've talked about a ton in the past, Overwatch. New character, Joe, finally introduced with this cool kind of anime trailer where he's fighting Winston, Genji, and Tracer. And one thing, before we get into talking about Doomfist specifically, I love this animation, Joe. It's so good. I want them to make, like, if they do that, if they do their Pixar animated shorts, like, make a movie. I don't care what. But there's this new character, Doomfist, and he's kind of fighting, like, especially Tracer and Genji, who are much faster than he is. And he's kind of watching Tracer. He's watching her, and then finally gets her, and, like, gets her, like, chronal accelerator thing. And it's like, Winston's like, oh, my God, what did you do? Like, this guy's going to kill Overwatch agents. Like, that's what he's going to do. It's like, if you get in his way, he'll kill you. And it seems like he's pretty intelligent, too. But, Joe, from Doomfist, looking at his abilities, looking at who he is now, finally here, what do you think of the guy, man? How are you feeling about him?
First and foremost, I think I'm surprised that he's an offensive character.
Yeah, we're talking about this.
Everybody was thinking, oh, he's a tank, right?
I thought so. Well, I know that the Doomfist would do a lot of damage, but I figured, oh, he's got to be a tanky dude so he can get in there and actually punch somebody. You know, like a Reinhardt kind of would be like. Ah.
Exactly. I thought that the Doomfist, the gauntlet itself, was so big that it had to be on like a larger character. But you know, I guess the first impression of him is all I'm thinking about is God of War from Sony.
Why do you think that? That's an
Aren't
interesting.
you?
No, I didn't until now. Okay, so why do you think that? I'm interested.
Because of the design, the proportions of him, you know, with the big upper body and the small waist, but just the physique, the large legs, his stance with his, you know, shoulders jutted and his arms kind of up, and like in fighting position, he's bent and he's got the, you know, large muscular legs, but then the very chiseled abdomen and then the broad shoulders and all that. That's all I'm thinking about is God of War, and then kind of the armor features and his. He has pants on, but he also has that like red tattered, almost like a shirt tied around his waist or like a skirty type looking thing. But
yeah,
I mean that's the vibe I get when I look at him, and then the face paint.
That is, dude. That is so good. Well, and also he's bald too. That doesn't hurt his case. You know, he doesn't necessarily have like the facial hair, just like Kratos or anything like that. But that is a good kind of. That's a good.
Yeah, he's got a little goatee. He's got a little soul patch under the lip, man.
Yeah. Oh, does he really? Oh, is it like a little? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just the same. He's Kratos. That's interesting.
And he seems angry.
Yeah. Well, he does seem angry. And one thing I do want to point out too is that we now for sure know that Terry Crews is not the voice of this character.
Yeah, so bummed.
I'm not bummed. I'm happy because first off, I've said this a few times, but it sets a dangerous precedent that like if any actor was like, well, I really want to be in the game too, and they start sending their auditions in, they're like, all right, so I guess we have to make a character that sounds like, you know, Clint Eastwood, which by the way, they already kind of have, and it would be amazing if he wanted to do that. But you know, Terry Crews, I don't think could have portrayed this true kind of anger. Like this guy is very angry, and like there's emotion behind this character, and I just don't know if he would have been like, woo, he'd have been like, I'm punching people, get out of my way. It's like that's not what Overwatch is about. Like
I feel like Terry Crews, I feel like his bread and butter would be like being somebody a little more comedic.
Yes, and Overwatch, I don't know if really lends itself to that type of comedy. Like he would be better in like a Borderlands where the comedy is like always coming and it's just like everywhere. Overwatch has comedy, but it's pretty subtle, or it'll just pop up once in a while.
Lucio?
He's talking about his cereal brand, man, and he's the only jovial everybody else in that. Like, Tracer's kind of fun, but everybody else is just like, get to the objective, and you're like, okay, all right, everybody, like,
yeah. Well, or you got Diva, who's just like, hiya.
Yeah, well, she's just life's a game, man, to her. But you're right. If they made a more comedic type of character, Terry Crews would probably fit that a little bit better. But this is like a true villain, the first really main true villain that they've had. We have other characters that are villains, like Widowmaker and Reaper, but both of those people were good turned bad, more or less. I think this guy, as part of the mantle, has been passed down. Like this, he's like a true bad guy. And like leader of Talon, like the bad organization who is kind of fighting against Overwatch. And I don't know, I just think it's pretty great. Like it's cool to see this type of character. As for his abilities, though, I don't know. We'll see.
Number one, the hand cannon. We've established based on the illustrations and design of him, he's kind of like biomechanical, like half robotic. Because you can see like his skin, there's like panels to him and his legs and stuff.
Maybe he's like a cyborgy kind of thing. But the gauntlet, I think you can take on and off.
Yeah, sure. But you can tell by like his chest and stuff, there's like panels to his body. And, you know, so he's got kind of this integral hand cannon deal where he can, he basically just shoots bullets out of his knuckles.
Yeah, like a shotgun kind of thing.
Which, yeah, I mean, I'm all right with it. I think it's his only ranged ability, kinda.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gonna be, I feel it might be similar to Diva's, only maybe not as widespread. I think it's gonna be more of a. I actually think it might be similar to Genji's 3-star throw, the spread throw.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I could see that for sure. And also, it reloads automatically. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I was looking at that, and I thought, okay, I don't know.
But as I'm watching the animations of his abilities, when he does that and he shoots, it actually shoots like 3 out in a spread.
Okay.
So you kind of cover a line, center, and then the 2 sides. But so yeah, I mean it's kind of cool. I'm worried that it might feel a little weightless. Is some of the characters their main fire ability kind of feels that way in general, and I don't have any problems with it, but sometimes I wish I'd feel more weight out of it, and by no means do I want to be comparing this game to Call of Duty, because I've never played a Call of Duty for more than a year, but that's one thing I appreciate about live shooters like that, is that you really feel through the controller and the vibration the weight of the gun. Like when you fire it, the reverberation is very realistic, or you feel that weight. But that's just something I worry about. But it's never been a big drawback for me in this game, because like Diva, sometimes you feel like you're just shooting BBs and.
Yeah, well, I think that's on purpose. Like Soldier 76, you feel pretty good when you're like landing headshots. And remember Treyarch, they came in and like helped them like kind of get there. And I understand what you're saying, because definitely the feeling of the guns in Call of Duty, especially like the Black Ops games, they feel incredible. Yeah. And I think that like Reaper shotgun, for instance, like his shotguns, Hellfire shotguns, they don't feel super duper great, at least on console, and probably not even a mouse and keyboard unless you have like a super duper fancy mouse, but it doesn't feel very powerful, even if it is. Like there's a difference between seeing the power and feeling it. Like if you're like boom, like that's like a big shot, you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool.
I want to feel that vibration in my hands, like I just unloaded the biggest shotgun shell they make.
Yeah, well, like one of the characters that does that well, though, I think, is Symmetra's like laser beam gun, because that thing, you feel the power ramp up. Like, whoa, you feel like you've got like a Ghostbusters laser beam. You're like, ah!
That one's done really well. So that's a good example. Tracers are what I would expect. Soldiers is pretty good, I feel like his is pretty good. I really I had another example. Reinhardt with the hammer swing. When you're swinging the hammer around, don't you expect a little more shakeability? But it's not. It's just like you're just swinging through things. You barely feel any vibration out of it. I don't know.
Maybe we have to turn our I think vibration is just on or off in that game. I don't remember there being like a slider, so it's like maybe it's not on us. It's like we could go turn it all the way to like 100 and be like, whoa, every gun feels incredible. Which
either on or off.
Yeah, I will say this though, Diva's pistol feels weirdly like that one feels very good. Like if you're landing headshots, you're like, what the heck? Like, this thing's great.
Yeah, so it's almost some of the ones that you wouldn't expect to be good are really good. Then the ones that you would expect to really feel some vibration, you'd feel nothing. But
yeah, like Widowmaker's sniper rifle does not feel powerful. But then like Hanzo, I wouldn't expect the bow to like if you let the arrow go, like maybe some twang in the bow, but like not necessarily like a shot, like a kickback as much as like a full power rifle. Like,
well, and I feel like his is pretty well done. I feel like Widowmaker's feels like you're shooting a BB gun.
Yeah, it feels kind of weightless, but hopefully Doomfist it'll feel good. But that's like the least of his abilities, Joe. Like what else does he have?
All right, so next on the order of operations is his seismic slam. So this one, it looks like you can be sprinting forward and then you hit that, and he'll do a running jump in general, and he'll kind of slam down with the gauntlet, and it actually bounces people closer to him. And then you can follow up with his next move, which segues perfectly into it, is the rising uppercut that he does with the gauntlet. So it literally is what it says. He'll kind of hit him with the gauntlet in the chin, and it'll jut him and the opponent up in the air. So you kind of fly up in the air. And then, if you're good enough, maybe follow up with another attack, like, whatever. But so then the next one is his rocket punch, which is what we all kind of expected, right? And it looks like it's kind of a charge feature. So you kind of with him. He is an offensive character. If you're flanking with him and you come up on a Bastion that's shooting down at your guys on the payload and you're to his side, he doesn't see you, charge it up and hit him. So it's basically that.
Yeah, it sounds like it also does more damage if the enemy hits a wall. So if you're like flying forward and you like slam him into a wall. I don't know if there's an animation, and I would hope that'd be cool if there were, but where he's like punching him, but if it's gonna go into a wall, he like grabs him by the face and it's like that's what I picture in my mind. Like, oh, that's what he's.
But as far as how it works, I mean, think of it this way: like if you come up on that Bastion, and to Bastion's right is a wall, to his back is a wall, and to his left is you. You would essentially rocket into him, hit him, and you don't go any further with him. It just immediately juts him into the wall adjacent. Similar to Reinhardt's charge feature. Slams him into the wall, does more damage, but you don't actually have to follow through all the way with him.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like there's a stun involved with this one, just does more damage. So maybe the trick is to kind of slam into a wall and then maybe rising uppercut him there. Like, what do you get him against the wall, and then you're like, oh, here we go. Like, you're going up.
Or do follow up with the seismic slam, bring it back to you, and then do the uppercut, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Less walking, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. My question, though, is how are these cooldowns? Do you have any numbers on any of these cooldowns for these moves? If you don't, that's totally fine. I was just curious if it was going to be like... He might be... I'm guessing he's very combo heavy, so I'm guessing these cooldowns won't be super duper high. But I'd imagine then if the damage... I guess it's the balancing game right there. It's like, well, if your damage is too high, then you have to have your cooldowns really low. But then you do the opposite, where it's like, I'm not doing a ton of damage, but I could do this combo.
I wouldn't doubt if... Yeah, but I wouldn't doubt if like the rocket punch is long regenerate. He's got the best defense, which... so the Doomfist generates temporary personal shields when he deals ability damage.
Yes, which I think that makes a lot of sense. There's another character in Heroes of the Storm, which is another Blizzard game. Her name's Kerrigan, and she has a very similar ability because for these characters, Joe, especially in a shooter, you've got a guy here who has like kind of one true like kind of ranged damage thing. Obviously, he can jump in and punch people, but he's going to need something to generate shields. The trick is going to be balancing that out too, saying how much do you get back for, doing the rising uppercut and stuff like that. So I think that all ties really well into his character and gives him the survivability, hopefully, that he's going to need, because you think, melee type character in a game like this, if you don't have a giant shield like Reinhardt, you're going to get in a mess of trouble. But Joe, what's his ultimate ability? What's his big bad move?
Yeah, the piece de resistance. Is that right?
Yeah, perfect.
The meteor strike. So, quite simply, this is Doomfist leaps off screen into the sky, and then you're left with is the player. You're left with basically like a range or a circle effectiveness area highlighted in blue, kind of like a mortar strike in other war games, and so that highlighted area of effectiveness, you can maneuver and position that where you want, where you think you're going to do the most damage on the characters in the area. Mm-hmm. And basically, you drop the bomb, he'll then crash to the ground and deal significant damage. I'm thinking it's going to be similar to like a Diva ult, maybe not quite as powerful, but anybody within immediate range is probably toast, unless you're a really big tank with full health or something like that. So, yeah,
I wonder if there's ever a time.
Direct hit is probably a death.
Yeah, well, I was wondering too if at any point they ever thought of, instead of doing damage, like if it was just going to stun and do a little bit of damage to everybody. Because my hope was going to be, you got Doomfist rolling in doing that, and then you have a Reaper drop in and just shoot everybody as it's happening. Like he lands and he just right in there with him.
So let's think of this. His ult would pair well with, would probably, if it is what we're thinking, because they don't necessarily say whether it's, let's see. No, it does deal significant damage. So it's not a stun or a immobility type thing. It's a damage ult. So he is offensive. So that makes sense. Well, with somebody like with his ult, May especially with her ult.
Reinhardt first.
What?
Did you say Reinhardt first? It cut out there for a second. I was like, did he say Reinhardt?
Yeah, I did. I said Reinhardt. You know, if Reinhardt, earth shatters them and they're all laying on the ground, boom, hit them. May, obviously, I think is number one. I mean, if she freezes them all on a point, they're all dead, right?
Yep.
So any others? What would others be?
I thought of one, and it's one that's been kind of problematic because a Reinhardt can kind of ruin it. But if a Zarya uses her black hole, and then you get around the shield where he's protecting everybody, and you just come down behind, and he's like that. Man, like, a lot of triple and quadruple kills right there. That's gonna be
so there's three good examples of who he would pair well with. I think he'll be a volatile character in the game, and in fact, I just had another thought. I'm trying to think of what it was. But
I was thinking while you're thinking about that, Joe, I thought maybe he would also pair really well just running around with somebody like a Mei, so that way if she slows somebody down, it keeps them close enough for him to get in his combos and move in and do a bunch of stuff. And then when they land on the ground, she can just like freeze them after like a rising uppercut.
For sure.
Mei complements pretty much every character. she's very good. It's just like if you're having trouble and you need a friend to help you, like Mei is usually the best case, unless like you got sniper problems. But even then, she'll block them off with the ice wall, and then no more problems.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't often fall back to Mei. Like, she's always a good fallback, and sometimes the first choice for me. I really love playing her. I just feel like she has a staying power, the ice block, you know.
Yeah, it's so good.
That disruption that you can create with that wall maneuver, amazing. So, but yeah, we're talking Doomfist. Doomfist, I like everything about him. Like that he has a lot of features. I think as far as characters go, he may be, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he may be one of the most difficult or most technical to play.
Yeah, high skill level, kind of Genji, or maybe, I'd say even more so, like Genji's maybe the top. Tracer, obviously, too, but I think getting that combo down and learning kind of to dodge in and use that ability, that jump, to get out of situations even, you know, or the charge and be like, oh, I'm out. Like,
or to be able to combo, period. I mean, to be thinking, okay, what's my cooldown on that? All right, I'm going to run in, I'm going to do this and follow up with that. And then my escape route's here. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of thinking there. I don't think he's going to be very squashable. I mean, what do we think he's going to have for a health pool? Probably something similar to Reaper, 250, 275.
I thought it was 200, but then he was getting those shields back all the time, so I might be wrong on that right now because the shields keep coming back to him while he's doing damage. So I guess that really depends too, because you get a player who is maybe well-versed in like a Genji-type character, but then you give that player the ability to constantly shield themselves if they're smart enough and they're good enough, and like that makes them a very terrifying and maybe game-changing hero, as opposed to some of the other characters we've got. Like the last three, I feel like Ana was the biggest game changer. I think they thought Sombra was going to be, but then she wasn't. And Orisa's good, but she didn't like shift the game. I feel like he's got the potential to move how people think about, you know, going after certain points, and his ability to kind of clear room like potentially very quickly with his ultimate, whereas like a Reaper can get taken out or a Pharah can get taken out. He jumps up, holds up for 4 seconds, and then I just don't know. I think he might be untargetable during that time too. I'm not sure, because if you can shoot at him while he's up there, then that might make him a big target. Like,
yeah, I don't know about that. Or, you know, Soldier pulls his ult at the same time.
Oh my god,
out of the sky.
Oh, that would be that'd be pretty rough. But just imagine just a Doomfist with an Ana ult on him. That could be terrifying, man. Like he's gonna be good, man. I think also he'll be good at defense too, because of that sustain with the shields. Potentially, he can go out there and just fight and keep people busy while they're trying to hold a point or to keep people from getting to that point. So, but yeah, that's my other question too, Joe. Who do you think would be a good counter to somebody like him? We're kind of talking snipers before, but maybe that kind of thing.
Well, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking a good counter is somebody that I mean, Reinhardt. I mean, if you got the shield up, is he going to do a lot of damage to you from the front?
I don't know. Plus, I you know, if you stun, I'm guessing a lot of crowd control stuff like stuns or, you know, Mei freezing him down, that might be good. Or Junkrat, you know, in a bear trap with some C4. I think that's going to be something we might see as a lot of interesting counter picks to Doomfist going forward. But you might be right. He might be the best Reinhardt might be the best tank, or maybe Zarya, because like if he has to get in close and Zarya just shields and she's just like got the laser on the whole time, she's getting more powerful and she's just shielding herself. She's just like, yep, I can do this. That might be a long fight between the two of us. Like he might win the day eventually, but Zarya might be able to hold her own for a bit. I don't know. That'd be a potential pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's still weird that he's offense. I get why he is. I just thought for sure he'd be a tank. I thought, oh, they have so many offense characters, or offensive, and I was like, oh, they won't do another one like that for a while. But here we go again. I think maybe it's because offense is easier to. I'm not gonna say easier to make. Just like, oh, you can just crank them out. It's just that you think of a game that you want to be aggressive and you want people to get excited about playing these characters. I think offensive is really exciting for people because I get to go and kill and do all this stuff.
Exactly. And you know, it might be, you know, they did come out with Sombra, was their latest offensive character, right?
Yeah.
But since then, it's been Orisa and Ana. So it's been a while since we've had that hype of an offensive character. And I think, you know, true to what you said is the offense provides a bit more chaos and excitement and really garners interest from the fan base, because who doesn't like a good offense, right? So they bought themselves time by garnering interest or rejuvenating the interest in the game just all that much more. Now they bought themselves some time to develop some good technical support type characters, you know, support, tank, defense, the ones that are more more supportive roles, setting things up for the offense, that sort of deal. So I think it's a good time for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and it's a big character, so I think it gets people all jazzed, and it's a good rejuvenation for people. So yeah.
I think so too. I think back to I think Ana was back last August, and then Sombra was in November, and Orisa was just kind of recently. So it seems like they're hopefully probably shooting for maybe 3 or 4, potentially a year. But I get that, you know, making a tank or making a support character that's both viable and interesting for people who want to play it, that's tough. I think making support characters is the toughest thing to make, and that's why I'm not surprised to see that be the lowest, because you kind of pick a few and you're like, all right, your ability is to heal, but your ability is also to heal and to damage, but not as good as healing as this character, and you can only do so many variations of that before you're like, all right, I don't know what else you want me. We have a character that shoots you to heal you. That's different, right? Like that's what you wanted. You know, I bet Blizzard's like, I don't know what to tell you guys. But
yeah, what are we gonna see for another support character?
I don't know. I've always thought they were gonna take the idea of Symmetra's shield generator and then make it like a heal generator or like a med kit, med bay area where somebody puts it down, whoever this character is, and like you're in this area and you're constant, like a big Lucio kind of thing, but and maybe the closer you got to it, the more health you'd get or something, or you could go to an area and it would drop med packs for you. Like you could like pick up a thing and it was like they put down a thing and they open up like a doctor's bag and you could like reach in there and get like a med pack. You're like, oh thank goodness, I really needed this, and would just charge it up all the time.
Yeah, it seems to me like you're envisioning a bit of a Symmetra deal, only instead of a shield generator, it's a health generator or a health pack bag that you go back and you hover over and it gives you a health bag, you run away. It's like something for the other team to hunt down and take out, right? So maybe that's an ultimate ability. And what's the main healing standard?
I don't know. You've already done the gun thing, and you already have the beam thing.
Gun and beam. What else would you do?
Oh, I got an idea. All right, here's what you do, Joe. I'm a genius. I don't know if it's a monkey or what kind of animal it is, but it's something that
Pause. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Like Evolve with the little bug that followed people, or like a fairy from Zelda?
Well, isn't that kind of like Zenyatta's like little healing thing?
Ah, dang it, a healing orb, yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking, Joe. It's a cute little furry thing or whatever, probably like a monkey. We already have Winston, but they've already set the
one
precedence.
that escaped from the Horizon base, right?
Exactly, this is the one. So obviously monkeys and apes are different, I know. But this one's a monkey. Anyway, you can jump on a buddy's back as like a backpack, and you have like a little gun, but you're like healing them. You're like stabbing them with like syringes and stuff, and you constantly heal wherever you're on the piggyback. So you're just like shooting off their back, like you're doing a good job. You know what I mean? Like that.
Or I'm
that would be
picturing
so
some
good.
crazy rabid ape like foaming at the mouth with its tongue hanging out. And it's just like jamming needles in your neck and shooting over your shoulder.
And then you could just jump and piggyback on somebody else, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like that little guy's on that person's back," and but that means they can get a 2-for-1 kill on you if it's an explosion or or something along those lines.
Or
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Blizzard, hire us.
That's a good idea.
It's a good idea. I'm saying, just stab. I don't know the stabbing syringes, but they might have to pick something. They're like, that's a little like too close. Like we're at T right now, we can't go to M, and if we start doing like drug injections, like more so, like Anna's on the line right now, but we take that another step further. But yeah, that's I could see that.
Blizzard,
being a cool thing.
Blizzard, listen to me now. Listen to me now. Hold on, Jim.
Just do it. Just do it.
You got to be kidding me! We were playing this with my dinner tonight with my family. I can't believe we're.
And you know what, Jimmy? I think we deserve a round of applause.
Look at the production value on this episode. We got it. It's very high this time. But yeah, that's my idea.
Blizzard.
Just do it.
Make me the monkey backpack guy. That's what I really want. He could even be in a backpack, and then he could like put the backpack on a person and then pop out of the backpack, and that's where he keeps getting the syringes. I don't know.
Yeah, like hand me to that guy. Hand me off.
What is ultimate? Oh my gosh, I know what the ultimate would be. It's kind of like Zenyatta's, but you like throw him, like somebody has to, whoever has him, throws him up into the air, and he kind of just is in the air and he's spinning and he's throwing syringes out at everybody really quickly.
Like Reaper's ult. Like Reaper's ult.
It's a reverse. Reaper's doing his. This guy's spinning up top. They're just nothing happens. Everybody lands. They'll look at each other like.
And anybody that it hits that isn't friendly takes a healing reduction. Or like an auto grenade? Like an auto grenade.
Yeah. Oh, it stops everybody? Wow, that would be pretty cheap. Yeah, I would love to see that idea of not getting able to be healed kind of explored in other characters too, because that's something we haven't seen besides, I think, specifically that Ana grenade, which is really good, especially on a Roadhog. Oh my gosh. There's been a few times when I've fought and they're like, I'm just going to heal. I'm like, you're not healing anything. And then you're sleeping. And I'm like, somebody killed this guy?
Yeah, I know. That's pissed me off because I was having that mayhem mode, which I love. Everybody has double health deal.
Lower cooldowns.
I love that mode. I thought it was a lot of fun, and the cooldowns are half and all that. So like as Winston, you can just fly forever.
Yeah, that was
like Roadhog can just constantly heal, and basically Roadhog is almost unkillable unless everybody focuses him.
Yeah, takes a village.
Really hard to. Yeah, so hell of a go with Roadhog on a few matches. Then all of a sudden I came up against a really good Ana, and she kept shutting me down, like no healing. And then people would start shooting me, and I'd be like, I gotta heal, guys, hold on. And I'd be dead. So
you're like, please stop. I can't take it. I don't want to. Thank you. Yeah,
shows how clutch it is.
Yeah, I noticed that Ana in that mode specifically was really, really good. I was like, wow, she is pretty strong when her cooldowns obviously are reduced to that level, and she can constantly throw out healing grenades or the non-healing grenades, and constantly healing people. It's like, wow, a very skilled Ana could be incredibly useful, especially in that mode. So yeah, I love that. Ana, again, probably another talking about skill caps, so like Genji and Doomfist. She's, I think, easily the hardest support to be good with. Like Zenyatta might be next, but she's just so, I feel like it's tough. You have to be a sharpshooter, but you also have to know like how to get in close and use your grenade and stuff. You can obviously whip it, but and to who to heal, like who you're shooting to heal up, or should you be shooting to hurt people? It's always these questions. It's like kills you, kills me.
Ana's fun. I'm not very good with her. She's probably one of the technical ones. Her and Genji, I feel, are the most. But she's fun.
Yeah, no, I think she's a lot of fun too. She's probably one of my favorite supports, even though I'm not good with her. And I also like that she's, Pharah's mom. And so one of my favorite lines in the whole game, I think she's, Pharah will be like, justice reigns from above when she's using her ult. And if you shoot and sleep dart her with Ana while she's doing it, it's like, Ana says, I think justice needs to take a little nap or whatever. She's just like, just putting her, her daughter down to sleep for a little bit. It's like, it's fine. So, yeah, but Doomfist, Joe, hypometer. I need to know, where do you stand?
Probably about a strong 8.5, maybe a 9. A 9 on a good day with the wind at my back.
Whoa, Joe, please elaborate. Why?
Because I think with his versatile move inventory, he's got a lot of moves. Having all those choices is going to be a lot of fun. So I think he's a game changer. I really do. More alternate moves than Genji does. So,
yeah. The one thing he's kind of missing that I think makes Genji stand out even more so, but is that reflect. I don't think that he needs a reflect, but I think that right there is such a devastating move in the right hands. And, Genji's just that dash, man. If you're getting kills with that thing, you can dash indefinitely. With Doomfist.
The thing with Genji that I've really noticed, I mean, he can do a bit of damage, but when he's at his best is when you are kind of lying in wait. You don't have to be that guy that runs into the mosh pit trying to do all the damage. I'm like, okay, focus these guys, and then, that guy doesn't have much health left. Whoosh, dash right through him, and he's gone. He's dead.
Yeah.
He's an easy cleanup guy, so he should be. He's almost like the wolf picking out the weak one, right? Like you should literally be watching the competition as like a herd and pick out the weak one, dash through him, kill him, or try and snipe him with the shurikens. But that's how I see Genji, and that's how I've been most successful with him. With him comes and goes. I'm not a Genji pro by any means. I'm no Drew Belch. But.
Yeah, Drew, our buddy Drew is like very good with Genji. He said way back, he's like, I'm gonna be good with Genji. He's like, I'm just gonna use Genji a lot, and just like, okay,
he was committed from day one.
Yeah, he was. Man, it's like, wow. I'm just impressed. I want to be good with Genji. I think he looks really cool, and I wish I was better with him. I'm just not a huge fan of the Shuriken as my main damage source. I'd almost rather have him be primarily with the swords, like the katana and the shoto, as opposed to being like that is not fun to me as much as just like hacking. But even his ults, I don't
sometimes I don't like the speed of it. I feel like throwing the shurikens can be too slow for me at times.
Yeah,
you have to like aim, shoot, and then aim, shoot again, or reposition because they've already hidden. I just feel like the speed of that kind of bugs me sometimes. So
I'd rather have them do like a reverse Roadhog where his main like attack was he'd shoot out like a little like ninja chain that would lock to people, and he'd fly forward and then he could like attack, so it'd be like he could do that and then he could dash out. Like that would be really fun. I wouldn't be surprised to see that someday. Maybe the monkey backpack could have that ability. That guy, then he jumps on a bad guy and he just stabs him with syringes.
Some sort of parasitic hero?
There was one they teased, like a long time ago when they first announced and showed off Overwatch. Remember they kind of had like a bunch of concept art for characters that they might never ever make. There's like a guy in a big hazmat suit with like a big gun. I was like, it might be like an acid spray type of thing. I always thought that would be really cool. Like he could eat through shields really well, but he would do damage over time to people, along with the flamethrower idea we've had in the past too. That could be like damage over time a little bit more. I don't know. That could be pretty good. But monkey backpack guy support, I think it could be the best one.
Yeah, minus the backpack. I want him to be a monkey that acts as a backpack.
Hey, sure, yeah, that's what I'd say. Yeah, it's probably better if he is, because like I don't want him like hopping around like in a backpack. Like, okay.
Yeah, and I don't want to give the player that I'm riding on the back of to have too much control.
They have to have all the control, man, because they're steering around. You're just like a turret at that point. You're shooting and you're stabbing. You're like, you gotta give me more heals. Boost me.
Boost me. I'm top 5 in the world.
I'm trying to think, Joe. If it wasn't syringes though? I don't know what else it would be. Would he be like applying band-aids? Like he's just like one-handed band-aids, he's just putting them on there. I don't know.
He just has infinite rolls of gauze and he's just wrapping people. Everybody looks like a mummy at the end of the match.
They're all just giving like a thumbs up, and he's just like there, and he's like, I've never lost anybody.
So, this is going to be odd, but since I'm so mobile during this podcast, I am going to show something off. This is, I feel like a little show and tell is appropriate here. So take a tour of my apartment while we're at it. But anywho, check this out. It's pouring rain outside, and it might not show up well on the computer, but as I look outside, it's like pink. The sky is like pink. It's really super eerie, and it is absolutely pouring rain.
Oh no,
Like,
you're
it almost looks foggy and smoky outside, but it's like rain, and then, well, I guess the heat that was on the ground is also causing the mist, but
sure.
it's insane.
What?
I apologize. It probably doesn't show up super well on here. I see the cloudiness and the rain waves a bit, but I'm sorry. I'm just amazed by it. I think it's really cool, so I had to share that with the folks and you, Jimmy. So
Thank you for sharing that. Do you not bring your the bench cushion inside when it rains?
it's an outdoor cushion. It does just fine.
It does.
It dries immediately.
It does fine for itself. It makes pretty good money. It's like yeah, I'm fine out here. Right, I'm fine. It dries immediately. Wait, it dries immediately? That's impressive.
Yeah,
tech
it dries really quickly. I think it's really porous, and it's not like fabric per se. And the actual cushion, the cushion casing is, it's not fabric. It's almost kind of plasticky, so it dries quickly.
Oh, fair enough. Interesting. Well, Joe, you said you're like 8.5, 9 on Doomfist. Back to that for just a sec. I will say I'm at
But that weather, though.
a 7.5 for me. I just was hoping it was gonna be like a tank or something.
Really? I mean, I would have liked to have seen a tank, but we did just get a reset. We can't forget that.
I just want an aggressive tank. I like aggressive because when you pick you're trying to get to a point, Joe. It's like you're picking Reinhardt. Like you can pick Rodog, you can pick Zarya. Those are good too. But Reinhardt's such a clutch pick. I was just hoping you get someone who's like, I'm charging in. Let's go, everybody. And it's kind of like another idea for that. But that's okay.
I won't lie. What I'm looking forward to most next is a really good support character. I hope that's next. And then following that, I want a defensive.
Yes, that's the most. I think that is the most creative and interesting space. Not for the support, but for the defense, because you can do anything. And I think there's an idea that they've had for a while, and they just don't. They're working on it. But there is this one character, Joe, that you can kind of see in some of this other stuff they've showed off more recently. But it looks like, I think it's I'm pretty sure she is a she, but it's like this person who's got white hair and glasses, a doctor of sorts, but might have a bunch of kind of robots at her command kind of thing. And that might be like a defense character. And then,
Hey, hold on. Are we talking like, oh, God, I'm losing the name of it now. Tom Clancy's own, what's the name of that game?
Division.
The Division. Are we talking about like the little mines that you could roll out and they track down people?
No, I'm talking about like actual robot, like humanoid style things that would be walking around and fighting and doing stuff. So it'd be more like a necromancer, like from, I think they had that as a joke in one of the Borderlands, like a necromancer but with robots. But then you do the Halloween skin, you make her look like a witch or something, and have them be zombies or something. But that'd be kind of a cool defense character if you had like 3 or 4 of these guys out who were kind of like constantly laying fire. You could tell them where to go, maybe have them self-destruct and things like that. It would just be really tough to do in a first-person shooter. Like, you go there, you go there, you go there. Like, you cover me, cover me.
There's a lot of power, and I hope their servers would handle that kind of intricacy and all that. But I mean, it does now, and there's a lot of intricacy to the game. So, watch. But Jimmy, this is how I felt when you introduced the small backpack monkey.
You laughed at it?
That's what I should have laughed like, but it was a good idea. Just saying.
It's a great idea. Just like our street shark that's got like the water like packs over his gills and he can like go through the ground, or the alligator in a bubble that floats around. I don't get that last one or how it works, but I really like it. I want more animal-based heroes. That's all I'm trying to say.
We've already got a gorilla. I want some sort of alligator or lizard man.
Yeah.
I like we'll call him the gecko, and he can like climb walls and stuff. Yeah.
That'd be pretty great too. Yeah, well, they already have 2 characters that climb walls. Not that they can't have more. Anyway.
Well, the new Horizon-based map is very well done, and I feel like it's very multi-tiered. Most of the maps are. For the most part, a lot of them are multi-tiered, walls, stairs, platforms, that sort of thing. So more of those characters is nice. And I think it adds that elevation adds complexity and tactics to the game where, not everybody's on the main level where you can just shoot. You got to be looking here. It's all around you instead of just in front of you on the ground, So I think that ability can be used in more than one character, or what do we have, 2? Then Widowmaker as a chain.
Yeah, that's true. Well, also, all those characters we have right now can't stay up there indefinitely. They have to fall down. So if you had a character that could go up there and stay up there for a certain amount of time, that might be kind of more of an ambush, kind of like waiting up there and they're like, and then backpack. And then you backpack and start stabbing at somebody that's reach. I really want that idea to come true.
So, okay, I know I'm taking up time and I'm just a piece of crap.
No, you're not. Neither. You what? No.
Recording the podcast right now, here and now. I need to do this because this is really cool. I need to share this with the group. Who isn't? I showed off the weather there. It may not have been the best quality and everything, but this is really neat. You're kind of into science. Oh, it's Jimmy again. It's like Inception. Anywho, that's not the window I wanted. Yeah, so my girlfriend or fiance had taken some pictures here, and this was just outside our apartment in the field. These clouds.
Where is she now? Is she safe?
Well, she's in her office, but
okay. I just imagine she's out there. She's like, Joe, help me look at this cloud. And you're like, this is beautiful, sweetie. This is great shots. And she's like, please come out here.
But I mean, isn't that really neat? The pink sky in the background, and these ominous clouds in here, and you can see over in here that the rain is clearly like pouring down. And I don't know. If you're not fascinated by that in some fashion, then I don't know what's wrong with you. But that's just unreal.
I think about
Power
it a
nature,
lot.
baby.
Yeah, I think about it a lot actually because I watch these vloggers who live in Orlando, and they talk about this, especially in the summer. They have these storms that roll through in just like a half hour, and then they're gone. And it's like a beautiful sunny day, but you can like look to your right or your left or wherever, and there could be like this horrible like stormy darkness, and it's always shifting. And I always think it's like some sort of science experiment, especially down where it's like super duper humid and it's just always changing, always flowing.
Well, in today's weather, it was almost 90 up here today, and really, really humid and sticky. So I think it lent itself well to a good rainstorm. But
fair enough. Yes. Well, I did not mean for us to start talking about the weather, but I'm actually truly fascinated with it. But we're done talking about the weather. We're done talking about Overwatch.
People always make jokes. The weather. How about that weather, huh? Small talk. But I tell you what, it is interesting. There's a reason that joke exists, right? Everybody likes talking about the weather. I just thought that was interesting to share. We're done talking about it. Back to what you're saying, Jimmy. Sorry for interrupting you.
All right, I'm back. Anyway, I was gonna say for all of our California viewers, I'm so sorry. We show off all this rain, and I'm sorry, but I wish I would send you water. I wish we could just like make a trough that starts here and just slowly slants across the nation. It's just huge. Jimmy, that's like a river. Yeah, I know. But so Joe, I had the pleasure of sitting down with the one, the only Kyle Bossman earlier this week to discuss all things Spider-Man Homecoming. We talked about it at length. It was really, really good, and I will link it for everybody here and then maybe even down below. And I'm planning on having a little chat with my buddy Levi, who went to see it with me. So what I'm going to do is, because you didn't see it, Joe, I still want you to see it. I don't want to spoil all of it for you. I hope you can go see it soon because it's worth it. Everybody go check it out. I did a review on it too. If you want to see that, it's spoiler free. So if you're kind of on the fence about it, I think a lot of people who want to see Spider-Man probably went and saw Spider-Man. But I'm going to edit that in. I'm going to put it in right here, and then we'll come back. Everyone, I am joined by my friend Levi, the guy I went to see Spider-Man Homecoming with, to just chat about it for a few minutes here. Like I said at the beginning or earlier in this podcast that I actually had a chance to sit down with Kyle Bossman to talk about it as well. So there's plenty of Spider-Man to go around, but I want to talk to the guy that I was sitting next to, throwing elbows into it at amazing moments. But Levi, like what, Spider-Man Homecoming, man, I feel, should we just go right into spoilers? Do you just want to get right into it?
It's been out for a minute. Let's do it.
Okay, I'll say I'm gonna flip my spoiler switch. Okay, it's on. Oh, it hurts. So many spoilers. But anyway, Levi, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it okay? Where does it fall, man?
Garbage. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, so good.
Okay,
They
so
took
good.
Andrew Garfield, spit on his face, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, so you like this rendition of Spider-Man Tom Holland. Do you like him better than either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire?
You know, and I think I said this to you during a part of the end of the film. He even had a little bit of a Tobey vibe going, so that worked for me. Yeah, no, I think it's hard to say, but I honestly think it's probably the best Spider-Man they've ever come up with.
Yeah, so you like it better than any of the other ones. Was there any Spider-Man beforehand that you kind of held in the highest regard of like the Raimi stuff or the Amazing Spider-Man stuff?
For me, it's always been the original Raimi stuff, just because it worked on so many levels, and Tobey Maguire was such a great actor and perfect for Spider-Man. Obviously, back then they could get away with, 32-year-old actors posing as high school kids, where these days you actually really need high school kids in order to play high school roles. So.
Yeah, that's one thing I really appreciate is that every kid at that high school seemed like an actual high schooler, because if you look at that first Spider-Man, that's like a bunch of 28, 27-year-olds like
James
wearing
Franco.
Yeah, it's like you guys are like, and as a kid, I didn't really, that's how high schoolers look like to me. So I thought, oh, this makes sense. But now as an adult, I think, no.
What is this Dawson's Creek stuff going on?
So, besides like Tom Holland, what else in this film would you say is something that you really appreciated?
I love that they just jumped right into it. Skip the origin story. Give us what we want. We don't want another origin story. We already know he's been bitten by the damn spider. Just get into it. Let's see him in high school. Let's see him go. And they just took it off, and it hit the ground running. Like, honestly, from the get-go of the film start to the end, it was just boom.
Yeah.
Kept you hooked the whole time.
That's true. I really like that they kind of barely touch on it. He says, Peter at one point to Ned, that like, oh, Aunt May's been through enough, kind of insinuating about Ben. And then, he says to Ned later, or Ned's like, you got bit by a spider? They just talk about it. They don't show it. And that's fine, because we've already seen it like twice. It's like, I don't need to.
Yeah. And Marvel's so good at just doing things without having to say it. Like with hero setups and stuff like that. Like, what's going on, so that you don't need the whole spiel.
Yeah, definitely. Do you like how they started off this particular one, kind of with the Michael Keaton's character, Adrian Toomes, kind of dealing with the aftermath of the Avengers 8 years prior to this film? Did you like that?
That was great. I was blown away by that tie-in. I was like, yes, finally some kind of coverage on this, because they touch on it in other films of what happened, but honestly, there was a ton of devastation from that event that never really gets, touched on. Yeah, they kind of yell at the Avengers a little bit and say like, hey, you guys kind of fricked up New York, but no, you actually get to see some of the aftermath here and what's really going on.
Yeah, I know in like the Netflix series, they always can refer to it as the incident. They always say like, oh yeah, remember when the aliens came out of the sky and during that time, or the incident. And it's like, okay, yeah, you reference it, but we don't really get to see it. But there they show like one of the Chitauri, like big dragon worm things on the ground and like all this debris, and kind of showing that like, oh, you need Chitauri metal to cut through like Chitauri metal, which was kind of interesting. It's like, oh, cool. But so what do you think of Michael Keaton as the Vulture in this one? Did you like him as a villain compared to like the other ones we've seen in the past?
Yeah, I thought he was great. Great actor, first and foremost. He's come a long way in his career, and honestly, like, he pulled off this role perfectly. He had you actually believing that he was this great villain, and he actually kept you hooked. That's the problem with a lot of Marvel films, is the villains don't always feel like a villain, or there's something weird's going on with their motives. And I felt like he had good motives from start to finish. It was a clear plot line. It wasn't, tossed around. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, sure. And I think Marvel's starting to realize that they need to kind of refocus on their villains. I think a lot of their best villains, like Doctor Doom and Magneto, aren't with them as far as film rights go. So they've been trying to kind of grab at these other ancillary ones for the standalone ones. I'm looking at your Malekith from Thor: The Dark World. So it's just kind of like, it's kind of there. And then kind of focusing on more interesting ones. And I just watched Civil War, and I think Zemo, a little bit different than his comic book counterpart right now. But that character was interesting because they had a villain in that movie that was pulling these strings, kind of, even though it was kind of strange how he did it, but he wasn't like the main antagonist. And now in this one, you get one that's kind of a lesser, like he's not like a Avengers style threat apparently, but he is still someone that kind of shows up and is a part of this and becomes more powerful and has this kind of this reason for doing this. Like, he wasn't always a bad guy. He kind of got forced into this life, and then I think he found a way to make money with it and to support his family, which he talks about all the time. He's like, oh, you know, my family, I got to make sure that I have money for my family. You get it, Pete. Like, you and I are working class kind of guys. And I kind of like that moment where he tries to reason with him. He's like, you know, Peter, I realize who you are and you know who I am, and this is why I'm doing this. But that car ride to the homecoming dance, and you know, beforehand when the reveal that he is Liz's father, you know, you and I were both just like elbowing each other. I was like, oh my gosh, like, can you believe this? But anyway, the character of Adrian Toomes as Vulture, did you like that whole reveal that he was Liz's dad?
Yes, that scene with the homecoming dance, that was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember just kind of being like, oh man, I was really surprised. I guess I didn't think about that twist. You know, I didn't think like, oh, who is he talking about? His family, whatever. If you would have said I have to support my daughter a bunch, I maybe would have thought of that. But when they revealed him, it was like, oh, that's really interesting.
And it was believable. It was, you know, it was, you could feel the tension. It was there. Yeah,
and it was kind of scary. Even though I think Peter could probably take him at that range. Like, he's in the car, he's got the gun with him. It's like Pete could probably take him, but he was in shock. Like, he was just in shock after he got out of the car. He just, you know, he's just kind of like focused on that. But, yeah. So, is there anything else? You know, the effects and everything. Did you like that? Do you like the look of the Vulture, the look of Spider-Man?
You know, I listened to your review and I agree with it for the most part. I did not. I didn't really notice the CGI that much, honestly. The shortcomings of a few parts. You just have a better eye at it than I do, but I didn't notice it as much. But I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought it was more like Iron Man didn't look his best. Like, it didn't. I don't know if it was just like I didn't know, look of him or something. And I could tell when it was Peter versus, or like when it was Tom versus like a CGI, you know, or something else. But yeah. But there were some really cool stunts. I was watching behind the scenes stuff where in the neighborhood when he's swinging around, he like drops into the shed. And then he comes running out of it and like kind of falls through a fence. It's like that's the stunt double falling into the shed, and then Tom Holland runs out of the shed, kind of like a double thing. And I was like, oh, that's a cool little practical trick like that.
You never know the difference, yeah.
Did you think this movie was funny?
I think it was probably the funniest Marvel film that they've released in a long time. It had all the witty banter from Avengers and all the other, like, kind of the humor from Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they've really learned from those movies to how to keep it light and keep it funny and keep the audience engaged and laughing. And
I think there was just a lot of times when I genuinely was laughing out loud, and I really appreciated that, because that's something that has been kind of not as prevalent in these films. Not that it needs to be. I think Ant-Man is the first one that comes to mind as being a funny MCU type movie. There are moments in Avengers and stuff, you know, when they're like Age of Ultron, they're trying to pick up Thor's hammer. That's a fun thing. And like, you know, Cap almost picks it up and Thor's like, oh, that's funny. But this one was kind of, you laugh, you know, every couple of minutes there's something kind of funny that would pop up. And I don't know, I really appreciate it. A lot of it was practical, like jokes, but there were a lot of good, just like little one-liners and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So, Levi, is there anything else you want to talk about with Spider-Man? Is there anything that really grabs you, or anything that you really didn't like?
No, I mean, everything. I loved the characters. I loved the action. I thought it was great. I'm so glad that they actually rebooted this and put some thought into it, and they really delivered. So.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that they don't screw it up like Sony, you know, just like takes it back and says like, well, Spider-Man's ours again and no more MCU tie-ins. It's like, no, like Marvel Studios obviously knew what they were doing here. But Levi, I'm gonna need you to give me a score on this. How do you feel about it?
You know, I have lowered it a little bit since my initial 9.8. 9.5, 9.6. Yeah. Okay,
that's fair enough. And is there any reason why there's like, I'm not saying that it has 10 is like a perfect film, but is there a reason you fell back on it a little bit?
No, I think that's a fair score. It obviously, no film is perfect except for Lord of the Rings to me. So, yeah, I feel like that's a fair score. I think they did a great job.
Yeah, cool. I'm just excited for more of them. It was just nice after that and Wonder Woman. It's just some good superhero films coming out right now, like really good ones. But you'd recommend people go out and see this film?
Absolutely. Go see it. You guys are gonna love it.
Yeah, even if you're not a Spider-Man fan or a superhero fan, would you still recommend it?
Oh, that's what I tell people. I mean, even if you don't like superhero movies, it's fun for everybody.
Yeah.
Hilarious. It's got, Tom Holland is a great actor, and I think he's going to do really well. And I think
I'm just hopeful that we don't like Shia LaBeouf the guy. Like he just goes. He's a little bit older.
Gosh, I know.
He's not like a child actor as much, but I just hope he doesn't like get like he implodes. It's like please, you're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you so much, Yvette, for coming on the show, chatting a little bit about Spider-Man. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have you. Yeah, please. I want you to come back on the show again soon because we had you on here. We had to talk about E3 and stuff too, which is a lot of fun. But I want to have you back on another time to talk about more movies and games. So thank you, man.
Definitely.
All right, so there you go. There's our Spider-Man. We just talked Spider-Man. It was that quick, for Joe and myself. It was mere seconds. For you, probably minutes upon minutes worth. But now, Joe, we're done talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. And we're going into this little segment that we like to call
Timekillers.
That's right. It is time for Timekillers. Joe, you just went right into it. I can't even believe it's so fascinating. Anyway, movies we've been watching.
I didn't kill any time with that intro.
Movies we've been watching, games we've been playing, TV shows we've been viewing, cookbooks we've been reading. Joe, what you been killing time with, pal? What's going on with you? What's going on?
I've been liking this app a lot. It's called Buttons.
You're out.
I was just joking. It came in handy, man. Come on, the Just Do It and stuff. I mean, it's got the John Cena intro song on here. It's great. Anywho, killing time. I did a little bit of travel over the weekend, hence why I unfortunately did not have time to see Spider-Man Homecoming, but I do intend to see it, especially after listening to your review. It really gave me the oomph I need to know that I want to see that stinking movie. But besides a little bit of travel over the weekend, I really haven't had much going on. I've been staying true to the Smallville series and watching that one through, and I've been really enjoying it. I don't know. It just goes to show the nostalgia still gets me.
I get that.
Really nothing else. I've been keeping up with MXGP3, which oddly enough, I've been starting to like that game more and more. As opposed to MXGP2, it's got a little bit more flow to it, and speed, and the track lends itself well to having that flow. Whereas MXGP2 is a little more technical. It feels a little bit slower speed-wise, but I think they really hit home with the bike design quality and the rider design quality, the graphic quality of them, and the proportions and all that. The MXGP3 is a little off, but still looks good. The tracks are done really well. The dirt, the environment's really well done. But yeah, so I've been keeping up with that and killing time. Otherwise, not much else. Sorry to say.
Cool. On my end, I've been playing a little bit of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which is a pretty interesting game. It's been very popular. I think like 1/5 of all Twitch streams are streaming this game right now. Joe, it's like a third-person shooter where you all get dropped into this area and you have to. It's the battle royale, so it's like the last man standing or last team standing are the winners. There's a circle on this big map that it always is shrinking basically, and if you're outside the circle, you take damage. So like you have to keep moving. So it eventually kind of pits everybody into this very small area if you make it to that top spot. But yeah, pretty fun game. Still like an alpha right now, so it's pretty glitchy and janky sometimes, but it's still pretty fun to play. I've been playing with a few people, a Legionnaire, Peyton here and there, and then my buddy Corey from over on Game Sharks. So if you're unfamiliar with Game Sharks, it's a little gaming podcast or show that I do on a local TV station around here. It's pretty fun. But besides that, watched Civil War the other night for fun. Still a great movie. Joe, I would love to do a commentary on that one with you, because that one's on Netflix, thankfully. So if anybody wants to watch that, if you have Netflix, it's just there. Just check it out. It's just a fun movie. It's still really good, even like a year after. Usually, like if I get a year after a movie like Jurassic World, I can go back and say, all right, Jim, like, what do I think about this? But with this one, I still pretty much everything I'm still in love with, man. That Black Panther intro, I just really... He steals that show for me. Spider-Man is great, and I love everything he does. But every time I see Black Panther, I think that guy is somebody you don't want to mess with. He's going to kill people. I'm like, yeah. Really good stuff. So there you go, Joe. Now it's time to move into my personal favorite segment of the show, community feedback and questions. So, Joe, I asked the community what they thought of Spider-Man right now, and we've been just getting lots of love for it. So nothing too crazy there, not a lot of hatred that I've found thus far. We did have some good questions, some that I've asked to Kyle and I answered myself. But Joe, I wanted to know what you thought about this. So Joe, this is from Anna. She asks, #critical podcast, you got powers from a radioactive bug bite. What kind of bug was it? What powers? And what do you do with them?
Dung beetle.
Okay. So you're rolling around massive piles of crap.
And I live on a farm. No, no, I'm just kidding. I just thought it was humorous. Be radioactive, and I get some powers from it. Oh, dang, this is tough. You go first.
Well, the one I had said was it was going to be like a big horned beetle. So kind of Blue Beetle-ish, where I get like a cool, like I could have like an exoskeleton and I get like a horn to be strong. I could even fly potentially. It's like, oh, this would be kind of nice to have like this suite of powers, you know. But I'd want to be able to turn it on.
Beetle or a scarab of some sort.
Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're using the term bug loosely, so if you want to go into something that isn't like a bug, it's like I'm not gonna dock you points. Like you pick whatever you want, man.
Jesus, this is tough. I mean, if Spider isn't on the table, I don't know. Shirt there, pal.
Oh, you like this shirt? Yeah, man.
I really like that shirt.
It's a good one.
If only it was really the symbiote.
What do you... Dude, this is the symbiote. I have it under control. I'm like Flash Thompson. We are completely in symbiosis. That's why I'm not trying to come find you and just like attack you. I'm keeping it together. I could get to you real quick with this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought that was a moth.
No, always a spider. But I could see at a distance. Maybe you think these are kind of wings.
Yeah. But anywho, oh man, this is tough. This is tough, and I'm taking it so seriously.
You have to take it so seriously. It's for fun. That's what these questions are about. Fun times. We're just going to give you praying mantis if you don't come up with one. I'll just give you big scythe arms.
Oh.
Claw arms. I guess it would be like a scythe there. But...
No, I mean, it'd have to be a spider. It'd have to be.
Okay, that's fine. I guess you never said you couldn't pick a spider.
Yeah, you didn't specify. So a spider for sure, because, I mean, let's face it, if you have anything, any of the abilities Spider-Man has, you're the shit.
So we're gonna make Joe it's not gonna be like a brown recluse. I think we're gonna make you be a daddy long legs. Your legs are gonna get super long, and your teeth can't bite through anything. You're poisonous, but you just can't get to, you know, like. And people are like, why'd you do that? And you're like, dang it, I didn't poison him either. And then
so needless to say, you're saying I'm daddy long legs. I have really long legs, and my profession is hanging drywall because I can hang drywall on the ceiling without stilts to stand on, you know, because drywallers, they stand on those drywall stilts, you know.
Sure.
They're like metal stilts, so you're taller and can hang in mud things. I'll just
do
be
you
a
use
drywaller.
your superpowers for, like, do you stop crime? Because I just imagine you go to stop, like, a bank heist and someone, like, kicks you in the shin and you're like, oh!
Yeah, I'm useless. I'm useless except for the fact that I'd be good on the construction site because I can reach everything high up without a ladder.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'm daddy long legs, and I'm very proficient in the construction industry.
Excellent. Now, Joe, I know you haven't seen the film, but you've seen the trailer, so you kind of can get a feel for Tom Holland's personality as Peter Parker in this one. A little bit lighter, a little more jovial. But Joran Evers, the one and only, asks us this. Based on the movie and Peter's personality in the movie, what do you think would be the best villain for the sequel? And, sorry, side note, can't be Venom.
Shit! I mean, Carnage.
Can't be Carnage. Sorry. He's already locked up in the Venom film. He's going to be the villain for Venom, which I don't understand how that's going to work because you don't have Spider. Sorry about that, everybody. Gotta not.
Oh, man, this is tough. Who would you want to see? Should they bring back Doc Ock?
that has been something people have talked about, and I'm not opposed to it at all. Obviously, they've thought about doing it, especially after Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, they have the octopus arms, like, in that thing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Alfred Molina did such a good job, so it would be very tough to have someone not necessarily top the performance, but bring something new. Maybe just super crazy and sinister, you know, like from the get-go. He wouldn't be like, whoa, like a father-son relationship. He'd just be straight up like, I'm going to kill you, Spider-Man. And he's like, he's very intelligent, too. So...
yeah, I think Doc Ock's a good one, and I think he's one of the staple villains of the Spider-Man franchise. So I think it'd be good, especially if Venom's off the table. You know, and I think they're going to reserve Green Goblin for maybe a bigger.
I hope so. A man can hope and dream. And also, the thing that would be cool is to kind of play more into Peter Parker's kind of the science nerdiness of both those characters, of him and Doc Ock, but then to have Doc Ock maybe be really kind of down on the world and not very hopeful and very pessimistic. And then you have like a youthful fun, like Spidey who's like, hey man, you got to lighten up, you know, like kind of webbing them together. And he's like, you don't understand the real world. You're just a kid, you know, and like backhand him with the tentacle. And plus he's a visually stimulating character too. You can do a lot with those tentacles, and you can make them look cool up close and from a distance, which not all Spider-Man's villains are as cool from a distance, you know, like you're like, can't really tell what's going on. So,
Dr. Octavius.
Yeah, man, dude. Otto Octavius. I love Alfred Molina. Every time I see him in another movie, Joe, I'm like, I need to just go watch Spider-Man 2. I'm like, anyway, there you go. Joe, before we wrap up the show, I forgot to do something a little bit earlier. I'm not used to it yet, but I want to take a moment, Joe, and I want you to salute with me as we salute our commander, Jonathan Larson. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
You're the man, Jonathan. Appreciate
there you go. Thank you so much. And he even has a battle cry, Joe, which I thought was kind of interesting. He was quoting Darksiders 2, and he said that their fate concerns me, yours does not. It's like, all right, that's okay. That's a little bit dark, but I like it. Anyway, I just want to thank you, Joe. This has been a good time as per usual.
Don't thank me. Thank a nice, cold, crisp, refreshing Canada Dry for keeping me hydrated throughout the podcast.
Joe, you switched off the diet. Are you moving into just pure regular one now?
You know, every once in a while I crave. You know, I don't eat a lot of sugar in my normal diet, so every once in a while having a sugary drink, I get a little craving for one. You know, so every so often. Every other week or so, I'll get a Mountain Dew or regular Canada Dry. But
cool. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I just want to say to everybody, if you are interested in sending us a question or a topic or a little game that Joe and I could play here on the podcast, all you have to do is tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to either of us. I am at GoCritical or at JimmyGood013. Or you can find Joe at
under.
Oh, you can find him at what?
Oh, I almost screwed that one up. It's my own Twitter handle. Anywho, it's at Lever_627, and that's Lever just like Beaver, only with an L.
Yes, exactly. And if you want to see our beautiful mugs on Twitch, you can join us over there anytime. We're playing games, usually me, but it's usually fun. And I want to thank you.
Hopefully, show off a little Doomfist, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, we'll for sure. We'll for sure get into that. You and I, we have fun on Overwatch. I also want to thank a few people. Thank you to This Is Dale for amazing theme music, which you hear at the beginning and end of every podcast. He is excellent. He's incredible. And thank you to Yoren Evers, one of the greatest artists, one of the greatest people I know. He's such a great guy. If you're interested in getting any work done by him and maybe even supporting us at the same time, you can check us out over on patreon.com/criticalreviews, where you can get an avatar of your beautiful mug like ours done up on these cool looking soldiers. Depending on what tier you are, you get cooler armor and weapons as you go up. And for our $75 and up patrons, you can completely customize that armor and all the weapons in the stance. Oh, it's going to look so cool. I'm excited because once we get Jonathan's done, it's going to be really sick, and we're showing it off here for every time we talk about commanders. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it a lot. So thank you so much, Joe. Another fun week, another fun podcast. Next week, I'm going to touch on War of the Planet of the Apes. We'll go into that a little bit. But yeah, I'm sure hopefully some news will come up here. It's been a little bit slow after E3 and all that's kind of like that summer, the doldrums, as
Apes
it were.
Together, strong.
Dude, I texted that to the guy I'm going to go see the movie with, and he never responded. And I talked to him in person. I was like, you knew what I was talking about, right? Because I said it, and I thought he was just like looking at it like, what? You just say like, yes, good. Like there. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you to all our Legionnaires for hanging out with us here today. Thank you for the liking, the sharing, the retweeting, the subscribing, all of that stuff. It really does help. It really, really does. And we really appreciate it. And feel free at any time, if you really do have a comment or feedback on the show, to tweet at us or email us or whatever. We really appreciate it. And we want to hear from you because we love you guys. You guys are the best. So thank you so much. Thank you, Joe. And just remember to adapt and overcome. And we'll see you next time.